want to tell you about a time that I felt like I was stuck. I felt like the job that I had wasn't really the type of job that was going to get me to the success that I actually wanted. And that was to be owning my own business. And I've been dreaming of something like that for quite some time now. I would say since I was little. And I used to always pick up entrepreneur magazines and have a desire to just on my own for some reason. I don't know. But I always had that fear. And that fear is what kept me from starting my own business and doing the things that I really wanted to do. And so I worked several jobs. I've always enjoyed teaching. I've always had a job. Well, I'm not going to say always. I've had a job where I taught, which is one of the things that I loved, but I still felt like I was missing something. And so that was, like I said, being an entrepreneur. So it got to a point where my job, I just couldn't deal with the supervisor that I had, or manager that I had. And they were a bully, a workplace bully. So I decided to take a bet on myself. And sometimes when you take a bet on yourself, the fear rises. I don't know how I'm going to make it comes up. I don't know how to do this comes up. I don't know if this is the right thing, or am I just doing this on my own? Is this something that I'm just trying to do? So all of those type of things came up in my mind. But one thing that came to my mind is I can trust myself more so than I can trust my boss. I can trust myself more than I can trust those at my job. And I know that I'm not going to put myself in a position where I can't get out. And if I do put myself in the position that I can't get out, then I know it's me and not somebody else. And so I was willing to take that chance to take a bet on myself and to step out. Now, when I stepped out, it was very scary. And so I want to say that it was about 3 years ago. And I prayed and I said, Lord, you said that all we have to do is trust you and believe in you, and that you're going to see us through pretty much. And I'm going to stand on that. And so that's what I did. I left my job cold turkey. Didn't have a plan in mind. I had been property wholesaling on the side, but it was not something that I actually did full time. And so I was wholesaling, and I was doing pretty okay, but not enough to quit at that particular time. So a lot of people, actually I didn't tell a lot of people, but those that I told, they didn't say not to do it, but they were like, what about insurance? What about this? What about that? Don't know. I don't know. But like I said, I know me, and I'm willing to take a bet on myself. So I did, and flipping was not something that I ever dreamed of doing. Owning my own business was, but not flipping. And so I started doing that. Soon as I quit, I would say maybe around 2 months later. Let me see, I quit in November, December to January, February. 3 months. 3 months later, I got my first house that I flipped. To flip. And I don't have a construction background. I don't have a background at all on flipping. Never even knew anything about the difference between a 1x4 and a 2x4 and this and that. But I knew that I had the willpower to do anything that I set my mind to, and that I was determined. I am a Capricorn, and they are determined. But I am very determined to try and figure something out, just like I am with this social media stuff. I'm a very shy person, believe it or not. And so for me to be talking to you on this is something out of my comfort zone. But as I mentioned in other videos, you got to step out of your comfort zone sometime. So I got my first house, and I wouldn't say it was too bad in terms of the stuff that needed to be done, but it was definitely a lot of things that needed to be done. It didn't have any flooring. The kitchen was old. The house was older, but it was in a quiet neighborhood, and I felt that it was something that could sell pretty good. I had found a little analysis program where you could try and figure out how much you need to pay for a house. So I took a chance on that. It was free somewhere online. I don't remember where exactly I got it from, but I knew that each step of the way, it's just like everything just came to. It worked out, and it just happened, and it just was. I had some hiccups, but I learned from those hiccups. And so shortly after I got that first house, another one came. And I wasn't even finished with that one. Well, the bank said, well, you cannot get more than 2 flips at a time. You can't do more than 2 flips at a time. So I said, okay. So I went to another bank because I wound up getting 2 more. So I had 4 houses within a 3-month time frame that I had just quit my job. And so I was shivering like a leaf. And I'm like, oh my Lord. I didn't even have a crew. I didn't even have the first person to fix something. Didn't know if they were cheating me out of my money or anything like that. Didn't know if they were reputable or not. I asked around, but I wasn't for sure. So I walked around Home Depot, and sure enough, I found some people. I rode around to some houses that was under construction, and I found some people. I visited some flooring stores, and I found some people. So little by little, as I talked, and I'm not a talker, but as I was standing in line or as I was looking at something, the people just came. And it just happened just effortlessly. Again, they had hiccups. I had hiccups, but it was nothing near as bad as I thought that it would have been. And as time went on, this air is really affecting my contact, so I'm sorry about that. As time went on, I said, well, what was the fear about? So on that first flip, I made $90,000 on that first flip. Now, if that's not enough incentive to keep going, I don't know what is. I made $90,000 on that first flip, but before we actually made it to the table, the guy who was buying it, he couldn't remember his social security number. He was an older guy. Couldn't find his stuff. He had just moved. And it was just one thing after the other. He couldn't find it. So I'm like, oh my God. Wait, let's go back. Before that, I learned my first thing that if you have an FHA type of loan, then on that particular type of loan, you can't sell the property because of a 90-day flip rule. So I had signed a contract with somebody, but it was an FHA loan, and I didn't know. So I flipped the house in less than 3 months. So I think it only took me 4 weeks to flip the house. And I did that, and we weren't able to, the sale wasn't able to go through because of the 90-day rule. So I had to go back to the drawing table. It was either wait, and they didn't want to do that, or go on to somebody else. So I ended up having to go on to somebody else. And so that particular person, like I said before, he couldn't find his social, he couldn't find his identification, he couldn't find any of his things because I guess they were packed up somewhere, I don't know. But needless to say, we did wind up at the closing table, and I made $90,000 on that first flip without any construction experience, without any knowledge. But what I had was myself. I bet on myself. Because if you bet on yourself, you can make a mistake, and you're the one who made the mistake, so you are in a better position to try and get yourself out of the mistake. Because you know all of the details. So I don't know exactly what you're waiting on in terms of getting started. I know that the fear is there. I know there's some anxiety there. There's some thoughts, and you feel like you got to have this in order, that in order, the other in order. But what I want to tell you is that it's not, if you keep on thinking that way, you're never going to get where you're trying to go, because nothing is going to change. I mean, you're still in the same position you were before. You're still having the same thought processes. What you're thinking today, you're going to think tomorrow, unless you actually change your mind and your thought processes on it. So a year from now, 3 years from now, guess what? You're going to be in the same position that you are now, because you're not willing to do anything about it. And so the second, the third, and the fourth one, of course, I didn't make $90,000 on each one of those. But that first $90,000 was enough to get me started. And it was enough to give me incentive to keep on. And it was enough to keep me to try and do more and get better at my craft. So I really don't even remember what I made on the second, third, and fourth one. But I do remember that it was more than 30 for each one of them. So I know that, but I'd have to go back and look and see. And of course, I'm driving now. Didn't even expect to be doing this. So I didn't look up anything before I actually started. So my encouragement is for you to get out of your rut, to get out of your own way, to trust in your gut and not your head, because your head, your brain, is not going to lead you right, believe it or not. Your brain is going to talk you out of it. Your mind is going to talk you out of it. But that gut is going to be the thing that's going to tell you, you need to go ahead and do this, do that. That thing that's pressing, that thing that's trying to, that's nagging at you, that's trying to get you to do something that's outside of your comfort zone. That's the thing that's going to get you where you're trying to go. The thing that's trying to get you out of your comfort zone. That's going to get you the success that you're actually wanting to do. Whether it's braiding hair, whether it's makeup, whether it's having a YouTube channel, whether it's flipping houses, whether it's wholesaling houses, whether it's buying rental properties, whether it is being an entrepreneur, period. And I'm not just talking to people who are interested in flipping houses or doing real estate. I'm talking to anybody who is interested in betting on themselves but is too scared to do it. Because we have something special about us. We're breathing, we're living, we're supposed to be here. We are here to be of service to others. And so this is my service to you, to try and encourage you, to try and push you, to try and kick you, so to speak, into your destiny. Push you into your destiny. It will never happen. It will never happen if you continue to have the same thought processes. What is the worst that can happen? Okay, that you fail. You already failing because you hadn't even started yet. You failing because you haven't even started yet. Okay? So you started. You messed up. Didn't you start crawling and you messed up? Didn't you start driving and you messed up? Didn't you start at a job and you messed up? Didn't you have a relationship and you messed up? Okay, so this is not going to be the first mistake that you've ever made. So why is this something that's going to keep you from your destiny? Why is this something that is holding you back? Okay, so another excuse may be, oh, I don't have enough money. Okay, did you have enough money before you started getting that apartment, but you found a way? Did you have enough money when you wanted to get that car? Maybe not. But guess what? You found a way. So there has been plenty of times where you didn't know where this may not be applicable to you, where you didn't know where your next meal was coming from, or you didn't know where your next fill in the blank. So if that's not you, you definitely don't have an excuse. But if it is you figured out a way. And guess what? You made a way. So the same thing applies to entrepreneurship. If you don't know how to do something, guess what? You gonna figure it out as you go along the way. You figured it, but you started walking first, and you started walking and working towards that, and you figured it out. So I want to tell you that get out your own way, get out your own head, follow your gut, because something is nagging at you, and it's not you, because guess what? You don't even want to do it. It's not you thinking that this is what am I supposed to be doing. The fact that you questioning it, and that it has been a question in your mind for a while, guess what? That's not you. That's not you. That's what is called the Holy Spirit. That's something, the God in you that's encouraging you. That's the God in you that's encouraging you and saying, hey, you prayed for this. And if you are a praying person, or you believe in a higher power, why are you praying to the higher power if you feel that the higher power is not going to come through with what he said he was going to do? Why waste your time? Why waste his time, for that matter? So if you gonna worry, then don't pray. But if you gonna pray and you believe that the person that you praying to, or the entity, or the higher power, or God that you praying to can come through, then you still have to do your part. It's just like a job where I'm going to hire you, but you still have to show up every day. You still have to do the part, and then I'm going to give you the money. So you go to work and you work for 2 weeks straight without getting paid yet. When you first start doing your job, you trust that boss or that corporation or that company is going to give you your paycheck. So how is it that a person who you don't even know, you don't even know their middle name, you barely even know their last name, how is it a person that you don't know that you can trust that they're gonna give you your paycheck, but a person who's been with you since you were born and talking to you and giving you thoughts and giving you ideas and giving you whatever, how come you can't trust that person? How come you can't trust yourself? You know your middle name. You know what you can do and what you can't do. How come you cannot trust you? But you can trust a stranger. You don't even know who is head of the HR department. And if you do, because your company's small, you don't know them well enough to know if they're going to come through. But they do come through, because guess what? You've worked. And typically 9 times out of 10, they're going to pay you your pay. Even though you probably come late. Even though you done messed up on some jobs. You done fell asleep on the job. You done did this and that, did that. You ain't perfect at the job now. Let's get that straight. So with you not being perfect at the job, how is it that you can not be an imperfect, you can be an imperfect person, which we all are imperfect, and think that God is not going to forgive us of our sins and bless us even still, in spite of. Because you get paid at work in spite of. Now, sometimes, of course, you get rolled up, okay? Because when it just goes on so long where you, okay, now look, now you done came in late 10 times this week or 3 times this week or whatever it is on the job, whatever their checks and balances are in terms of what you can and what you cannot do. They didn't let you go oh so far, and then they gonna what? Tap you. They gonna say, look, hey, you gotta get written up, or you gotta get fired or whatever. And so that's how God is, basically. Hey, I got to tap you. It's just like we gotta do with children. We gotta punish you, or we gotta give you a talk to, because you heading in the wrong direction. Why do we have a problem with that when God corrects us? Why is that? Why is it that we say, why me? Or I'm a good person, or what? Why not you? Are you perfect? No, you're not perfect. So what are you expecting? You're expecting to go through life, but I guarantee if you think back on the things that God has blessed you with, or if you look back at those things that you couldn't bear or thought you couldn't bear at the time, or if you look back at what happened that was traumatic in your life or something bad that has happened, if you look back, you will be able to see that, oh, I needed that, or this made me stronger, or this made me better, or this made me this or that. You are not going to be the same person. You shouldn't be the same person that you were last year. You shouldn't be the same as you were 2 years ago, 3 years ago. You shouldn't want to be. So why is it that we can trust in an HR department, we can trust in discipline at work, and we even sometimes get mad at the fact that we got disciplined at work, knowing that we've done some things or done the thing that we should not have done, and we got the nerve to get mad at that person for disciplining us. But that's for another day. But we get mad at the higher power, or God, Jesus, or whomever you pray to, or whomever you believe in or don't believe in, when we get corrected. And that's to grow us. It's to help, not to hurt. And that's what I always tell my son. It's to help, not to hurt. I'm here to help you. And so I'm here to help you as well. I'm here to help, not to hurt. I'm here to encourage you, to tell you to get off your butt. Go on and start that position. Go on and open that salon. Go ahead and flip that house. Go ahead and start wholesaling. Go ahead and start buying rental property. Go ahead and start flipping. Whatever it is. You don't know what's going to happen in 10 minutes from now. You don't know what if it actually works. Do you think that everybody who started a job, or started a business, or stepped out on faith, do you think those people who are multimillionaires, those people who have done well, the McDonald's, the Burger Kings, the millionaires who flip houses, do you actually think that they already had the know-how and the willpower and the whatever? You don't think that they didn't have any fears? I have found that the people who take the most risks are the people who actually wind up doing really well, because they've taken the risk in doing it and they've bet on themselves. Not everybody who starts something, I'm not talking about the people who were born with a silver spoon in their mouth and they inherited it. They still had some fears, I'm sure, too, because they had some big shoes to fill. So everybody has fear. So you shouldn't allow fear to get in your way from anything. So go ahead and get started. What's the worst that can happen? You wind up back at where you are now? Because that's exactly, you probably already feel that you at the bottom of, of wherever it is. You feel like you're not where you need to be or where you're supposed to be or whatever. So I'm going to say that's the bottom, because you're not where you want to be. So what is the worst that can happen? You go back to the same spot that you are now? What's the worst that can happen? That you, okay, you go a little bit lower, that you lose money or whatever. Have you ever lost money before? Have you ever lost $20? Have you ever lost $100? Have you ever lost any amount of money? Guess what? Money is a cycle. It's going to come back. Then guess what? Go get a job. If it don't work, guess what? You can always go and get a job. Okay? So you got options. So I'm going to start this salon, or I'm going to start this whatever it is that you want to do, that you so fearful of. And I get it. Trust me, I get it, because I have been there. I was fearful. Heck, I don't even know how to do this. You know, I'm sure by the time I get back to my desk, I'm going to have to edit this some more, because number one, my doggone contact keeps on drying up from this air. So excuse me for keeping on digging in my eye, but it's drying out for some reason. But I don't know how to edit that well. So you probably gonna hear all kind of background stuff. You gonna hear whatever. It's probably not gonna even be the right size for whatever it is that whatever social platform that I'm gonna put it on. But guess what? I did it. I stepped out and I did it. What's the worst that can happen? You looking at me? Okay. I'm shy. I don't like to be in front of people. But I have to try. I have to get out there. And I have to try and do. So, I don't know who I'm talking to. I don't know who needs to hear this. I don't know why you feel that you feel the way you feel that you feel. Feel free to drop in the comments why you feel that you can't move forward, or that you're fearful of whatever it is that you're fearful of in terms of, and it may not even be starting something. It may be fearful of going to school, or a certain kind of school, or being a ballerina. You always wanted to dance. I don't know. But I think this is something that can reach a plethora of people, because fear is a real thing. Fear stops so many people. If you pass by the graveyard, and I'm sure you've heard this phrase before, and if you haven't, I'm going to tell it to you anyway. But there are so many people in the graveyard, and that had so many ideas. Could you imagine what this earth could be? Oh, I didn't even know this neighborhood was back here. Could you imagine what this earth could be if everybody contributed what they were supposed to contribute, that was within their gut, or what they were placed here on earth to do? I can't braid hair, but they got some people who can really do hair. I can't be a makeup artist or whatever it is, but they got some people that can. Everybody doesn't do the same thing. Everybody wasn't placed to do the same thing, but we all have something that we can do, something that naturally comes to us. So I hope that you don't be one of those people that's in the grave and never experience your passion. And I hope you are not one of those people who you never bets on yourself. I hope you aren't one of those that try and give up after the first turn of events. I hope you're not one of those people who won't be true to yourself and help yourself and do. So I want you to be encouraged today. I want you to be free of your mind today. I want you to be free of fear. And I want you to step out on faith. And I want you to recognize that you can't be in any worse of a position than you are now. And that's not doing what you're supposed to do, or what you want to do. So, forgive me if the lighting isn't right. Forgive me if the camera is crooked. Put in the comments what you think or you feel. First thing is admitting to yourself what the fear is. I feel that the fear, this particular fear, is the reason why this is holding me back from doing X, Y, or Z. Okay? I feel like this is why I can't move forward. Whatever it is. Okay, I'll come down the wrong street. Whatever it is. Okay? So I'm going to tell you, like I said, and I don't know if I even said it or not. My fear was stepping out and owning my own business, not knowing if I was going to have the money to do it, how I was going to do it, when I was going to do it, because I didn't want to leave my full-time job. And I'm not telling you to do that. You have to make it up, for your own self, what you can and what you cannot do. I did it on the side until I can do to get where I needed to go. But I still didn't have everything, all the tools. You're not going to have all the tools at the same time necessary to get you from point A to point B. Because look, if you rode the bus, you got to go get a bus ticket. You got to drive yourself there. Not drive. Walk over there or have somebody take you there. You don't have all the tools to get on the bus. You have to collect the tool here, collect the tool there. You don't have all the tools to get a job. You got to collect the resume, get a resume together. You got to have a computer. You got to go to the library. You got to get tools to get you to where it is. Little small things. If you're hungry, you got to have tools. You got to have cookware. You got to have a pot. You got to have a pan, or you got to go to pick up the food from somewhere. But there's tools that you're collecting along the way, and you don't have all those tools at one time. You're taking your time and you're gathering those tools to get you where you're trying to go. Get you something to eat, or to cook your food, or whatever it is. So put in the comments what you feel your fear is, and so that we can be in this together, and that we can encourage each other. And I think the best thing, can't nobody bet on you like you. Can't nobody love you more than you. And if you don't love yourself, then it's high time for you to start loving yourself. Because when you love yourself, you're going to do better by yourself. I'm sorry, I wasn't going fast enough. I was talking to the people. When you bet on yourself, when you love yourself enough to step out, I guarantee you're going to feel so good. It's like an accomplishment. And it's like, oh my gosh. It's like, oh, I feel so good that I'm able to feel like I've accomplished something. And so I have continued to flip houses. I have continued to buy rental property. I've continued to wholesale. I haven't looked back. And I hope I never look back. But guess what? If I do ever have to look back, I'm going to find something. I guarantee you that. Whether it's going back to a job or whatever it is, I'm going to be all right, because I know God got me. He has me. He's going to take care of me. And so be encouraged today. All right.